This feels a little bit like deja vu to me because I'm sure I've shown you a Napoli six pack Kraken that happened as the result of one of my streams in the past. That's what this match is. If you were watching my stream Saturday, then you've probably already seen it, but if you weren't, you're in for a treat because this is a pretty good one. And it demonstrates one thing I really like about World of Warships Legends, which is that your choices as an individual player in a standard battle can really have an outsized impact on the outcome of the battle. There's a turning point in this one, at least in my mind, and I'll try to point it out once we get there, but it's going to take a while. So as we get into position here on this alpha flank, I'll show you the commander build. This is a full secondary Napoli build with Azerlane Vittorio Veneto at the helm. We've got the secondary mod selected, and Veneto's inspirations are Hipper and Haruna. She's also got the Porcupine skill. So with all that, we've got 9.5 kilometer range on the Napoli secondaries. Not as good as the range on the Michelangelo or the Schroeder, but Napoli has the distinction of having sap secondaries. Maybe that's not too much of a distinction because Michelangelo also has that. But Napoli's secondaries are really accurate, they fire very quickly, and they can deal a lot of damage when you're in range. I don't know how much mileage we're going to get out of them in this battle, but it is going to be a good result. So we've come out here on the alpha flank, and what I like to try to do on maps like this, where you spawn on a flank in a cruiser, is get as wide on the flank as possible. Doing that, I think, is helping us provide some intelligence data on these battleships. Incomparable gets punished harshly for being spotted, but now we're spotted in return, which means that the enemy destroyer is somewhere near us. But, of course, we have smoke screens in the Napoli. The downside of the full secondary build, though, is that we only have 2 smoke screens. That's the base number. You'd need fully packed to get 3, and no Italian battleship commander has fully packed, so we're just stuck with that. But even without the smoke screen in place, Napoli is probably one of the tankiest cruisers in the entire game. Yes, it has an overmatchable bow plate, but it's also got an icebreaker that probably mitigates any damage coming for the Citadel through the bow. And it can tank an awful lot of punishment from battleships if you angle it properly. However, we've got Khabarovsk out here on the flank. I love Khabarovsk, of course, playing it anyway. It's one of my most played ships in the game, and I find it really fun to harass larger ships like battleships and even cruisers with the main battery guns on the Khabarovsk from open water, because it tends to be very difficult to hit the Khabarovsk in return when it's being played well. And so we've decided, because of our experience in the Khabarovsk, that we're just going to annoy this guy. The most he can do is farm us a little bit with HE. Our armor scheme probably shatters a good deal of it. He can light fires and be a pest in that way, but ultimately, we don't need to worry about him too much. He's not that much of a torpedo threat to me, not to mention the battleships with his really short range. He's mostly just a farming gunboat. And we've got Holland on his case. Can't remember how that works out. I think not too well, though, because Khabarovsk is going to be around until pretty much the end of the battle, if I remember correctly. He's within 9 kilometers of us, so we are going to shoot at him as we push in toward Rhode Island. Now that Incomparable has been dispatched, we've got 2 red battleships in the same grid square. The Rhode Island and also one of the IJN hybrids, the Dewa. But because they're right there on top of each other, and Incomparable is back to port, there's no danger if we push in of being crossfired between Incomparable and those 2 battleships. And since they're occupying the same space, and also since Rhode Island has relatively small guns that can't overmatch my armor scheme, well, effectively, all we have to angle against is 1 battleship. And besides, they seem to be tied up with my teammates. There's another battleship pushing toward them, and I think we've got another one who is hiding behind the islands and not doing too much of any value, but whoever's shooting at Rhode Island, they're getting some good results. We're going to add our damage into the mix and have the secondaries start hitting this guy. You can see they do some pretty good damage when they make contact. Sometimes even over 1,000 damage on each hit. Do we get the kill on Rhode Island, though? Yes, our first kill of the game comes from the Close Quarters Expert, or the skill kill, as some call it. courtesy of Napoli's secondaries. So Khabarovsk here, still trying to be a pest, shooting at me, getting some minor damage, still not starting any fires. Maybe we'll take a moment to shoot back at him to just, keep him in check a little bit. But it's Dewa that we really want to eliminate, and we've got one of the friendly battleships pushing into Alpha with us. We're on a bit of low health right now, though, and as tanky as the Napoli can be, we don't want to be too overly aggressive here. Thankfully, whoever this battleship is gonna take the Dewa's attention to quite a large degree. What we're trying to do here is put the island between ourselves and Dewa so he can't hit us with the main battery guns or spot us. And we go dark because I think Khabarovsk is behind the island. Meanwhile, friendly battleship comes around the corner, turning so he's not flat broadside to the Dewa. And I suppose the airdrop torpedoes of the IJN hybrid are a little bit of a concern, but I don't think they ever come. This is our last smoke screen, of course, and we're at least chewing through our heals. That's, I suppose, the one benefit of putting a battleship commander at the helm of Napoli. You can get 4 heals because of Master Mechanic. And so, we are able to utilize the smoke screen to make sure we take no more damage from the Dewa, get some of the lovely Italian sea mines on target, and then, ultimately, not finish off the Dewa, we get a fist. But we've done 78,000 damage, and the flank here is pretty much clear on the Alpha side. But of course, we've got Khabarovsk out there kiting away to the map border on the A line, and then we've got this Venezia here, who is also going to be kiting in the same direction as the Khabarovsk. So, we've got to open up the textbook of tactics for World of Warships Legends. And what do we find in Chapter 1 of that textbook? Don't chase the kiting ships, particularly the kiting cruiser and the kiting destroyer. If ships are kiting away from you and you're pushing into them, they're at an advantage. They have an easier time hitting you with their main battery firepower or even torpedoes if you're sailing into them. And meanwhile, as they're sailing away from you, especially at an angle, you're going to have a much more difficult time hitting them and dealing meaningful damage in return. Both Khabarovsk and Venezia are excellent ships when it comes to this kind of kiting thing, and if we get captured and our attention is focused entirely on them, then we're going to be missing the rest of the map. The blue battleship that helped us with the Dewa goes down, and then the rest of our teammates are behind us, but they look like they want to be pushing into Venezia and the Khabarovsk. We get a good hit there on Venezia, but again, the goal cannot be to just chase him. He is turning back in, but we're going to turn away. And why are we doing that? Well, we've noticed that on the other side of the map, the Charlie flank, there is no blue presence there. The reds over there have eliminated the rest of our teammates, and right now it's an even 5v5, so we don't want to allow the reds to have control of that side of the map. They're sailing toward the Bravo cap, and if they take that, we might be in a little bit of a pickle. We're going to have them behind us, and they could cause a lot of havoc there. Luckily, Minotaur out there, peeking around the island, broadside to us. Well, Napoli's guns, as you saw against the Venezia and Minotaur, are really good with the AP. They are larger guns, too, than you'd find on the typical cruisers. I believe 254 is the size, rather than something more common like 203. We do get the kill on, I think that was the Minotaur there. That's our second kill of the game. 140,000 damage done. And even though we were losing a lot of HP in the beginning of the battle, we're at about half HP now thanks to the heals. And we've still got one more left, so we could go a little bit above half HP if we don't take any damage. But the Bravo cap in which we spawned, that is starting to turn red. And that's because there's an enemy cruiser inside it. Wisconsin hasn't quite reached it yet, but the friendly Holland has taken Delta, which will help mitigate against the loss of Bravo if this cruiser succeeds in flipping it. We're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen, but it does look like the cap's about to be flipped. And what do you know? It's the enemy Napoli on significantly low health. One tap from one shell should be all it takes. So we come around the island, salvo is out, and there's our third kill of the game. Totally earned, too. Definitely not yoinked. That just leaves Wisconsin here. on this side of the map, and it's just Wisconsin, Venezia, and Khabarovsk. So, well, actually, Venezia takes down one of our ships too, and so it's a 4v3 still in favor of the blue team, but I think this was the turning point in the battle. I think had we decided to pursue the kiting Venezia and kiting Khabarovsk and sort of take the bait there, then we wouldn't have been here to turn around. And as you can see, the last remaining battleship on our team, well, he's just gone down, but he was pushing into both the Khabarovsk and the Venezia. And so his attention wasn't here. There is a cruiser behind me who might be paying more attention to the Wisconsin. It looks like he's farming him with the main battery guns. But imagine the same thing had happened, and we were all the way on the north side of the map, near where Venezia is. Wisconsin would have free reign of this cap, and I suspect it probably wouldn't be too difficult for him to take out the cruiser behind us. But as it stands, since we're the Napoli and we can brawl with our excellent armor, we're able to get the Wisconsin. He goes down for our 4th kill of the game, and now the tide, I think, has completely turned. It would still be possible for the Reds to win this. Holland is on low health, so am I. We can't see the health of our remaining cruiser teammate, but Khabarovsk spots that Holland, let's say. Venezia gets one good hit on him with the sap, he goes down. And if Venezia gets a couple good hits on me with the sap, he also goes down. But Khabarovsk, throughout this entire time being a pest, has lost most of his HP. Holland's working on him with the main battery guns, but ultimately, we get the kill and the Kraken unleashed. Little bit of vengeance earlier for the Khabarovsk annoyance. Always feels good to take one of those things down, and we're going to be able to get the cap. That just leaves the Venezia, who is last spotted somewhere on the A line, heading, I suppose, north down that line. And we've got this cruiser over there, who's running away, I suppose, from the Venezia, which isn't a bad choice. He's a Minotaur. Venezia could easily take him out, I'm sure, if the right shell is shot. I don't think Venezia can Citadel the guy with his sap. He can do a lot of damage, though. And Minotaur isn't exactly well armored, so Venezia AP could probably shred him. And with 16,685 HP, it might be a little bit reckless to go after the Venezia. We do have the win conditions secured. We're far ahead on points. We've got the Alpha, Bravo, and Delta caps. Reds have Charlie, but it's completely irrelevant. And there are 2 minutes left to go in the battle, but at this point in time, being reckless is sort of what I want to do, because we have 5 kills, we have 159,000 damage, and we could turn that into 6 kills with more damage. I think the Venezia was at least fairly healthy last time we saw him, and so he might have a lot of HP left to take. Minotaur is decided not to retreat, actually. He's going forward like we are. And again, this is perhaps a little bit reckless. You don't always want to do this, but as the circumstances happen to be right now, we do have Holland going to the Charlie cap, and even if this Venezia somehow managed to take both me and the Minnow down, well, there's no way he'd catch up to that Holland, and as it stands, he doesn't take either of us down. We take him down in one shot, and that's 6 kills with 167,000 damage and 3,700 base XP without any planes being shot down, and with a little bit of the damage, at least, being done by secondaries. Napoli is a fantastic ship. I love the thing, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.